Oh, Jesus. The news is just, it's always terrible. John, cheer me up. Tell me something funny.
Not a lot of funny stuff going on these days, but many years ago, Rodney Dangerfield was talking to me, and I said, so do you talk to your wife after sex? He said, well, if there's a phone handy.
Rodney was so great.
He was wonderful. We need humor now. So what about you, Matt?
I got one. Husband and wife are in the supermarket. They go by the beer section, and there's a sign there, and 24 case of beer, and it's on sale for $22. Exciting. He picks it up and starts to put it in the wagon. And she says, what are you doing? We can't afford to spend that. He shrugs and puts it back in. They move on with the wagon. They come to the cosmetics section. She looks up, and there's a special bottle of face cream on sale, $38. She reaches for it excitedly and starts to put it in the wagon. He says, what are you doing? That's $38. She said, it makes me look beautiful. He said, well, if you let me drink the 24-pack of Budweiser, everybody would look beautiful.
That is funny. If you think that was funny, will you see what's coming up?
I agree. We have a very special guest, one of my favorite comics, and I think he'll be one of yours.
You are right on.
You live in a pedestrian state, meaning if you leave the curb and walk out in the street, cars have to stop, otherwise they get a ticket. New York, a red light is just a suggestion. And these morons, these kids, Facebook, tweeting, twerking, Instagram, you want to play Candy Crush? So this kid, they don't even look. I was brought up, look both ways down a one-way street. These kids, So I edge my car right up to the kid's leg. He goes, hey, hey, I roll down the window, LOL, LOL. And you're a moron.
Oh, God, that was so funny. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite comics, one of America's favorite comics, a great guy and an old friend, Bobby Collins. Bobby.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being had.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You're a traveling man, I know, and you just came in from
Myrtle Beach, South
the
Carolina.
City of golf courses.
I got to tell you, we're sharing the planet with a lot of different types of people now. We got to start thinning out.
I've noticed that in the news.
I know. The gene pool could use some chlorine.
Bobby, let me. First of all, I have a very serious question to ask you. And you know, I know this is a comedy show, but bear with me. What the hell does LOL mean?
I know. Laugh out loud.
Oh.
I didn't know.
You got to
learn
tell
from
people?
These young kids. Like I sometimes I look at an audience and I say, how many people here have kids? Huge hands go up. I go, watch my lips. They're going to come back and live with you. And they go, no. I go, we didn't. And I tell them a story about my daughter, who's 27. She lived with a guy here in California for 8 months. He dumped her. She came home. You don't come home. My wife was on a chair with a rope. Bobby, kick the chair. Kick the chair. I said, I can't. I got a gun in my mouth. We never came home. See you at Christmas, New Year's. Oh.
About 20 years ago, I was online in the early days, you know, and I said something, I forgot what it was, probably something stupid, and I got things that says LOL. I thought it meant lots of luck,
right?
And which worked.
Oh, no, I know. It means lots of lots when you're going to do a double, right?
Yeah. We're going back.
I know, now I remember. Bobby, somebody told me that you used to work for Calvin Klein. You were a vice president in Calvin Klein. How'd you get from the... And before I ask you that, can you get me a pair of multicolored underwear?
No, but I get you the ripped jeans. John.
Yeah.
Is that amazing?
How did you go from Calvin Klein to stand-up comedy with Frank Sinatra, Cher, on the Letterman show. You've been everywhere, all over the world.
A substitute teacher also, yes, in high school.
Yes, but there was that inner desire of something. Remember, you knew, I grew up poor in Queens, New York, and we were poor people.
Everybody but Donald Trump grew up poor in Queens.
I know, but we were poor. Poor people used to come over to our house just to feel better about themselves. And I remember as a kid, a teacher asked me, when in the class, she goes, I want you to write 3 things down that if you could make a wish, what would you want to do in life? And I wrote airline pilot. I wrote shirt designer because I saw all these guys wearing shirts and I go, never look. And I wrote, which I thought was so far-fetched, comedian. And I remember raising my hand and asking the teacher how to spell comedian. And lo and behold,
you became a comedian.
Isn't that amazing?
I did that. I wrote graduate.
And you did.
I did. Did any funny offstage things happen with Sinatra, the King?
Yes, they were. I was touring with Cher for 88 cities, and then we had a 2-week break. And her manager called me up, who I've known through getting the job with her, and they said to me, "Listen, such and such opening act for Sinatra got sick. We're going to send you over. Would you do that?" Being a New York guy, I go, "How much?" And they told me, and I said, "Sure." And they flew me right over to Salt Lake City, and I got there, and they were giving me all these guys. All right, don't call him Frank, call him Mr. Sinatra. All these things. You know, don't speak to him first. If he speaks to you, all this. And I'm like, my wife's Italian, hairy woman, but I'm not into that. So I said, sure, it was a job. And I went into this big room, and a guy named Jilly was his associate. And all these guys were named after parts of the body. Bobby, this is Tony the arm, Stevie the foot. I'm going, hi guys, how are you? Nice meeting you, Mr. Foot. And then we're sitting around, and Sinatra's sitting there, and they're all catering to. Phone kept ringing. One guy kept Jilly. Yeah, boss, she was a stripper in New Jersey. Let her in. Give her 2 tickets.
Who's it? Rizzo was his last name, yeah. So.
And he'd hang up, and then all of a sudden, I'm sitting there, I'm going, this is wild. And the phone rang, and I heard somebody say, we need the substar to come down and for a sound check. He goes, he's a comedian. Just put the damn sound on. And he hung up, and he looked at me. He goes, is that okay? No problem. I got no problem with that. Sure.
No problem, yeah. Mr. Sinatra.
Mr. Sinatra.
Sir.
Right. And then after that show, true story, I go to my dressing room. I just opened from it. Wow, it was amazing. I had fun. And I noticed Frank Sinatra's son was the band leader. And I noticed, and his daughter was there. And I went back up into the room, and I'm changing because I was going to go to the local comedy club to be the big shot. You know, I've never been there, but hey, I just opened for Frank Sinatra, Bobby Connell. And I'm getting dressed, and Jilly
Rizzo,
he goes, hey, the boss really liked you. He wants you to join us for dinner in Chicago. And I said, no, I'm okay. I'm going to go over to this. I'll be there tomorrow. He goes, maybe you didn't hear me. The boss, and I went, okay, no problem. Let's go. Okay.
Which word didn't you understand?
Which is, and they gave him a police escort. They gave us all up to the airport. Come on. And then I went to Chicago, and we got there at 1 o'clock in the morning, went to the pump room. And next thing you know, 12 of us are having dinner.
One of the great restaurants.
Yes, I didn't know.
The shish kebab on a sword, right?
And the 12 waiters are there, 10 waiters.
Well, for Sinatra.
$3,000 for dinner when I was a kid. Yeah, that was always.
Lo and behold, who walks in? Don Rickles. And he walked in, he came over to you as comic to comic. He goes, yeah, I heard you really did a good job. He really liked you. I go, thank you. Nice meeting. You know, and it was amazing. It was fun.
We're watching
Comedy Happens.
Comedy Happens. Yeah. Pick up your cue. Okay, Comedy Happens, Bobby.
Sorry, I interrupted him. Let me ask you another personality question. How was it with Cher?
She was so professional. I really enjoyed that. You know, before the show with her dancers, she all held hands. Bobby, get in here. She was get your ass in here. We'd say a prayer before, and she'd let you know that these people came out to spend their hard-earned money to see her. And her age was so diverse, from young, middle-aged to old. It was Cher. They all knew her songs. They've seen her on television. She had lost her husband skiing. And I was pretty blown over to the fact she only did 12 songs, but with all the dances, it seemed like a 2.5-hour show. But she only sang 12 songs. And as a person, one night after the show, we were in Halifax, Canada. And after the show, she's banging on my door. And she had a mouth. She had a mouth, which I kind of liked because I was from New York. Bobby, get your ass. We're going to the movies. We're going right now. I go, I don't want to go. We're going to the movie. Okay. We got dressed. There were 7 of us. I saw her give the lady a hunk of money, and it was raining. I go, whoa, you gave her like $2,000. There's 5 of us or 7 of us. I go, I'm from New York. I could have worked the deal. You know?
I'm half fair.
Come on. We could have got in for like $200. So it was an experience.
That's great. Let me go on to another subject. Your favorite comedian. Or comedians. Or comedians.
It's funny because there's a lot of comedians, Matt, around the country that aren't known, that you've seen in Philadelphia, that you've seen in Chicago. And they work for whatever their own demons are. They don't let themselves out of that city. But people, you hear their names, and I go see them, and they're phenomenal. You know, some of them.
Yeah, but give me somebody that everybody knows so they can relate.
I always liked Richard Pryor. I've met him a few times. I always liked David Brenner. He came over to me once and really gave me a nice notch. He said, you get on the stage. People like you already. You got work on your material. And he gave me some really good advice. And he's passed, but I was doing a show last summer in Atlantic City, and his wife came to the show. And she said, he always spoke about you. I go, he was a very strong inspiration.
That's great. That's great. Okay, I got another favorite of yours to ask. What was your favorite moment or scene or line in a movie, comedy movie?
Oh, in a movie, I've loved so many movies. Remember, always having a desire.
Like what?
Animal House. I'm sorry.
We can't talk about that one.
Why not?
Such a suck-up.
Oh, come on. Blazing Saddles, when Harry Met Sally. These were the ones that
one of the great scenes in movies. Yeah. Harry Met Sally, when Rob Reiner's mother was sitting at the table and
you know what
Sally,
restaurant that was?
Pardon?
You know what restaurant that was in New York down there?
It was a stage?
Oh, yeah, well, that was Rob's mother, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Right. The 2 great scenes that Rob directed in that was when they're doing the wave, and then he's talking about the guy that took his wife away from him, and Billy, and you know, that, and the other one is at the batting cage. How do you time hitting the ball well? You know, but that was another great scene that Rob did. So it's a
okay, hold it here. You're talking too much about somebody else's comedy. What's your favorite bit in Animal House?
John Belushi wrecking the guitar on the stairs.
Oh,
phenomenal.
God.
But keep this in mind. What you did in that movie, today, if it was made, it is so unpolitically correct, it wouldn't probably be made.
Yeah, let me tell you the story about the guitar.
Yeah.
Okay, the scene was in. I mean, we were going to do the scene where John comes down and breaks the guitar. So I had to call the studio. We needed a song. What was Stephen Bishop going to sing? And because we hadn't planned on this. This was just worked up with the writers and myself and the director. And the studio said, we have no more budget for music. You're out of it. No more. You can't spend any. Because, you know, music in those days was about 1/10 the price it is now.
Right.
Because we drove it up with all the songs in Animal House. So suddenly I remembered that the only song I know the lyrics to is a song I used to sing to my kids. And
sing it.
Yeah, when I found my love, whatever.
The sun will come out. No.
I gave my love a cherry.
Yeah.
I gave my love a cherry that had no stone. I gave my love a chicken that had no bone. I told my love a story that had no end. I quit. I quit.
Now,
Good
John,
job.
John's coming down the
So-
stairs. Yeah.
So it was free. The song was 486 years old.
Right.
It was public domain.
it
Obviously, it
worked.
was public domain when Caesar was living.
How much did the guitar cost, though?
Right, the guitar.
Yeah, how many guitars did he want?
$14.22.
We had three
Right.
guitars. Anyway, that's the story of
a great
how that Stephen Bishop sang that song. It was free, and the only reason he sang it is because I remembered this was the only song that I sang to my kids that I knew the lyrics to.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, enough of that.
Yeah. You spent that money, though, and so you had no money to buy underwear for Donald
Yeah,
Sutherland.
the underwear. Okay, hold it. We gotta make some money here. We're taking a little break for a commercial. And what are we watching?
Comedy happens.
Stay tuned.
There's money.
You work for Calvin Klein. You're a vice president in Calvin Klein.
Yes. It was just a fluke. I was selling jewelry.
Before comedy.
Yeah. Well, I was selling jewelry. A friend of mine's girlfriend was going door to door selling jewelry, and she set them up on trays. That's when all the women were wearing gold chains. Remember the years?
Yes.
They had the 3 gold chains and the gold bracelets. And she said, Bobby, you with your personality. I go, I couldn't do this. She set me up. I remember putting the trays together. I hit the garment center. I hit Calvin Klein. I remember going Gloria Vanderbilt, all of them. And they would, being a good guy, I'd hand them my card and they go, all right, could you set up in showroom number 3? And they'd make an announcement. The jewelry guy, Bobby's here. I'd met a lot of women. I was a young guy, and I sold and made a lot of money, and I'd go back and forth from the Diamond Exchange in New York, 47th Street, back and forth, and jewelry. And then one day, they stopped me at the elevator. The guy, Mr. Rosen, he said, hey, what are you doing? I said, I sell jewelry to the thing, and I handed him my card, wholesale jewelry, retail jewelry at wholesale prices. And he goes, no, everyone seems to like you. Come here, come on in here, talk to me. And I sat around, and they had a knack of picking people. They picked an actor, and I wanted to be a comic, but I didn't tell them that. But they had a knack of picking people that weren't into the garment thing to sell. And he said to me, how would you like to work for us? And my attitude was, I couldn't work with these people. This is what you do. But he had a little lazy Susie, and he put a price on it. And remember, most kids graduating from college was making maybe $24,000. He sent this thing around and it said 72. I said, sure, I'll take it. I go, when do I start? He goes, how about Monday? This was Thursday. No problem. And I started selling.
And that's great. And,
working for Calvin.
And you went from jewelry to underwear in one swoop.
No. But I remember, quick story, after a year, I would say to people, the buyers coming in from all over, I would say, what are you doing tonight? And they go, we're writing up our orders, because they were afraid of New York. I said, well, I'm doing stand-up comedy at a place called Catch a Rising Star. Why don't you guys stop over? They would jam in. My orders were huge. One day he walked in and they go, we're going to make you executive vice president. And I said, you have 6 of them already. I go, does it mean more money? And he went, yes. I go, then call me emperor. Yeah. And I became a vice president. And I didn't last that long because I broke off to do stand-up comedy.
So from there to comedy, and from New York to Santa Monica.
Yes.
Now, those are 2 different places to live. Tell us what your feelings about the difference.
It teaches me patience out here in California. California, the way they drive, you know, and it's like, oh, you're going to hit. Oh, in New York, what the hell are you doing? Move your car. Yeah. But it teaches me patience out here. But I feel very comfortable in New York. There's a park, 14 Union Square on 14th Street. Couple the other day are looking at a map of Manhattan. Being a good New York guy who knows it like the back of his hand, I said, where you guys looking to go? Are you from New York? Yeah, where you looking to go? Well, we've never been here before. Why don't you shut the hell up? On the inside, on the outside. Oh, you've never been here? Yeah, and this is my wife, Susie, and this, and I'm Jimmy. I'm going, really, why don't you die? On the inside, on the outside. Oh, good, where you guys looking to go?
Yeah.
He goes, well, since the kids aren't here, little Susie and Billy, I'm going, where you looking to go? And he goes, Central Park, 26 blocks, straight up. You could walk, you could take a subway, you can take an Uber. And then he goes, well, we think we'll, I go, by the way, where are you from? We're from Indiana. Go home.
I have one more question
Yes,
I want
sir.
to ask you. I understand, and I don't want to get into politics,
Yes,
but I do understand that you played Mar-a-Lago twice.
yes.
And I forgive you for it. But Mar-a-Lago, of course, is Donald Trump's
The White House, the Southern.
The Florida White House.
home away from home.
Right, right.
And I understand that after the performance, the president, or well, I don't know if he was president then, but
He was. He came over.
came
to me.
over and tell us about
He
it.
came over to me, and he's been a fan of mine for a long time. And he came over to me. They had me perform there, and he said to me, "Good show, Bobby." And I started to laugh because he had his boys with him, the Lollipop Crew. We represent. It was Spitzer, then all these guys.
Did he take your child away from
Right.
you, though?
And he looked at me, and I said, "Thank you, Mr. President." I'm laughing. This guy is president of the. This guy, I know him from New York. He should be on 42nd Street. Keep your eye on the red card. Keep your eye. He's a con artist, but people don't know that. So, and then he looked at me. He goes, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Sure." He goes, "Did you vote for me?" I just thought that was funny, asking a comic who tells the truth. I said, "I would have rather voted for El Chapo." And his boys cracked up. And that.
Talk about needy. Did you vote for me?
God,
Yeah, that was. Or did you lock up Hillary?
know.
Well, I vote for you, Bobby.
Thank
for you,
you.
Bobby.
Thank you.
And that, it was wonderful having you here.
Thanks for having me, man. I
And
Pleasure.
you are such a funny guy and such a great guy.
thank you.
And drop by
I will.
and give my love to the family.
I will. Thank you.
And thanks again.
Thank you. And now you can go back to Santa Monica because it's not traffic time.
Don't.
And get me those multicolored shorts. Will you, please?
I will.